Hello and welcome to Scrapbooking Station. In this video we're going to create a silhouette style card using either a large die or a combination of smaller ones. So I'm going to put the camera over my shoulder and we'll
I want to begin this video with the most traditional silhouette style. So it's going to be black. So the elements are going to be black. And the first thing I want to do is pick out a shape that I'm going to cut out of my panel. This panel is 4 by 5.5. And so I just picked an oval that's going to fit inside. So when I cut it, I want to be as center as I can. So if you need to mark your center points, these have little clicks, so that's going to be easy. And then I'm going to pick a die that is going to be much larger than this oval piece. And I think that's going to become clearer as we progress. So let me go ahead and get that cut. This material is actually packaging, so it's a coated black. It's pretty thick. I would guess about 120 pounds. This actually comes from a mask because you're only going to see one side. So let me cut the oval and we'll talk about the next step. Now that I've got this cut, the next thing I want to do is take this cutting die, and this is a Couture Creations. And so it's actually, if you can see this little picture, this piece die cuts like this. So it does leave your card in here, and then it's got another piece that will finish die cutting. So I want to try and avoid this inside my oval. So when I position it through my cutting machine, I'm going to pop it over into here. And the thing I want to do also is try and keep as many pieces as I can intact, because we're going to use these pieces to position back into my oval. So I'm going to be doing that. The other thing you want to decide is how you're going to back this. So since this is a pagoda, I am going to use a watercolor image. So I've got this. This is from Paper Wishes paper pack. It's actually called Country Manor paper pack. And so I'm going to pick a portion of this. And I know I'm going to want to key in on this pink color. So just anything up in here. I could use the middle as well, but then I'm left with a piece that I can't use at all, so probably stick to this side. So I am going to back inside this 4 by 6 or 4 by 6. Yeah, 4 by 6 piece. So I'm going to position that. While I'm at it, I might as well go ahead and decide on my finished card size. So this is going to be 6.5 by 4.5, and I just picked a piece of pattern paper. This comes from Paper Wishes. That I'm going to put on here, leaving a 1/16 edge all around. So let me go ahead and do this very intricate die cut and come back with these pieces. I'm going to go ahead and back my mat, and then we're going to talk about placing the silhouette into this oval. Okay, at this point I'm ready to start taking a look, at least at how I want this to set back into this oval. So the first thing I want to do is kind of position this piece, because this is the outie from my die cut, and this die cut is pretty intricate, and I did lose a lot of my little niblets, and I could have held on to them, but you know what, I just decided we're going to leave it alone. So let me put this kind of position sort of in there. I'm not actually adhering anything, so I don't have to worry about it. I know I'm going to want to back this roof because I don't want to see the landscape behind there, so I just followed along my die cut, and I'm going to put this piece of roof back in. Also, when I attached this, I left a little bit of a lip, and so I know I can slide card pieces under there. The other thing I know right off the bat that I'm going to want to do is these flowers have little centers that you would poke out, but I don't want the landscape showing through. So I've made little circle flowers. This kind of match with my coordinating paper that I've used on my card base, and I'm going to pop those behind there also. So once I get those pieces done, I'm going to kind of set this in here and take another look and see if there's anything else I forgot. The only other thing I want to mention is that there is a piece here, like this additional leaf, which I could choose to put back in there, because once I remove the outie, we're going to lose that leaf altogether. I think there was another little leaf in here, but you know what? Those little nibblers, we're not going to worry about them. So let me do that, and I'll be back. This is the finished piece. So after placing my die cut back into the oval, the leaves were really bothering me, and so since I didn't back them with paper and I didn't keep the niblets, I could have ran the die cut through again and inlaid those leaves, but then I thought, why not just color in with a Sharpie marker? And in fact, it coordinates nicely with the roof, which is actually behind the die cut. Then just added some branches. I cut these out of Stampin' Up! Rose Red and a Sentiment. And then on the inside, happy birthday and stamps that were kind of like silhouettes in themselves. So I misspoke about this background. This actually is a Tattered Lace paper pack. So it's Country Manor paper pack from Tattered Lace. And then my stamps that I used were Stylized Birthday from Stampin' Up. And then this older set for both the sentiment and then on the interior. So anyway, it's a good first project. And now I want to move into number 2. So I've got a couple samples and then we'll start constructing. Here are the next 2 projects I wanted to share. Because these are created exactly the same way, I'm using different cutting dies. So first off, I've got an oval with a fluted edge, but I'm still going to cut this out of my mat and then use the piece that's on the inside to then go ahead and cut my silhouette. Then I'm going to position using the outie piece and pop that right back into my background. Over here, I just used more than one die. So I've got a village, a hot air balloon, and some clouds. So both of these dies come from eBay, and then I've got Up and Away from Stampin' Up. Now, what I made in my backgrounds, they're just landscapes created with masks and something called embellishment mousse. On the inside, I stuck with kind of the black and white because they go with the silhouettes really nicely, and this is a stamp set from Stampin' Up as well called Dare to Dream. So, finishing up on those. Next project I want to go step by step through is one that uses multiple dies, but they're going to be dependent upon each other. So let me move this out of the way and we'll set up for that. In this project I'm going to use torn edge rectangular cutting dies to cut out my frame, and then the frame's going to end up going onto my card base. So the first thing I want to do is cut, of course, out of black. So I'm going to cut a frame and then use this piece to put my backdrop behind it. And what I'm going to get is something like this. So I've got my frame, but this is the piece, again, that we're going to be working with, because this is the piece that comes out from inside here. Now, I want to do multiple cutting dies. So I've got a tree. And what I'm trying to decide is what needs to show up in the foreground. And because those are the pieces that we're going to cut first. So I think I'm going to want a bush in front of this tree and then possibly another bush behind it, and we're going to worry about this house in a little bit. So let me cut the bush out first, and then we'll be back to stick it into what I call the puzzle. So this is my puzzle mat, and these are going to be the pieces. So I've got my first piece of the puzzle, and I just put some liquid glue behind it. I always use Tombow liquid glue. Nice fine tip, and you can control it. So I put, again, my rectangle back in here, and I'm just going to pop this right back into where it belongs. I'm just going to let it set for a little bit and then pull out the back. Leave you a picture. I'm going to cut the next one. So now what I want to accomplish is I want this trunk to stick out a little bit here, and then the rest of it I'm really not concerned about, other than, I want to make sure my tree's not falling over. So let me let that set, pull this off, and I'll be back with this piece. Or actually it's going to be 2 pieces. Okay, I've got the 2 pieces of my tree ready. So first thing I do, well, notice that the outie is now in 2 pieces, and that's okay. I'm still going to plug them in. So here's the little bit of trunk that I've got. I want to make sure this is not moving. It's hard to do over my shoulder. I've got this in. I'm really more concerned that it be up against my bush. And I got my tree sticking to me because I've already got glue on it, or the larger portion of my tree. I can do exactly the same thing. So I'm really concerned about this piece here where it goes into the bush. But just as concerned that I'm meeting all the edges, and it should exactly meet. I mean, if it's not exactly meeting, you're doing something wrong. Either that or your material is not compressed enough, because as you run through a cutting die, your cheaper materials are going to stretch a little bit. And actually, we're going to talk a little bit about that later, because there's a piece of this that I want to emboss. So, got that like that. I'm going to let these set again, and now I want to cut a bush, another bush. I found this actually bigger one, and if I cross over this way, I've got to do something special. So I'm just going to leave the bush kind of coming into here. So I want to keep it into this piece. So I'm just going to take this piece and cut myself another little bush and be back. Okay, now I'm ready to pop my hill in, so I'm going to put that piece of the frame so I know exactly where this is going to go. And again, I've got it sticking to me because I've got glue on it already. And let's see. So I'm going to hold that flat, and it's going to pop right in there. So it's like building a puzzle. Okay, this part's important because now I want to add my house. But I really just want the roof and maybe the chimney showing, and it's got a window, so that's okay too. I'm just not going to stick it out here in nowhere land. So let me just take my scissors. I'm going to take some large scissors. Kind of want to stay below this line. So I know that's going to be right in here. And I'm just going to cut myself a hill. So that's going to be this piece, and I'm going to use this piece. So that's probably set enough. And all I'm going to do now at this point, I mean, I could just plug this in, and I think you'd get the illusion of a hill, but I'm going to take this portion and this portion and just give it just the slightest little piece of texture. And all this is actually a heat and seal bag, but it's got this nice little diamond thing, and what it does, it creates this little subtle on this coated cardstock. So let me do that. I'll leave a picture of where we are so far and come back with these pieces. I put this first corner piece in, and now I want to do this one. So at this point, I really don't need that upper piece because I've got enough going on here between my frame and the tree and the bush to make sure this is going exactly where it belongs. Okay, like I said, ooh man, I could have used that little piece. May dig around for that. You know what, I'm going to live with that. I should have probably started cutting a little bit lower, or at least check it before I stuck it in there. Okay, now I've got this one piece left for my rooftop, so let me go do that, and then I'll be back. Okay, the little notch was bothering me, so I did find my niblets. I actually try and keep as many as I can until I'm totally done, because you never know, like in a case like that. Okay, I am going to stick in this piece to position my rooftop. And that is the last element. I left the window in. I decided I didn't want to see through the house because again I've got this background here. So it wouldn't be good to see stars through my window. And I didn't want to back it in for this project. So I'm going to hold it down and lift it so we can take a look. So really cool. After this frame, I'm going to have to remember this for Halloween. I really think that it's kind of a spooky look. I'm going to leave it non-spooky, but I'm going to go figure out what kind of card I'm going to stick this on, and I'll be back with the finished piece. Okay, and finishing up at the last minute, I wanted to add a moon. So I just took my leftover piece and used a circle to go ahead and add that. I also put it on a larger card base to try and lighten things up a little bit, and so this is actually turned out to be a 6.5 by 4 inch card. And back behind here I've used some paper wishes. It's kind of a marble pattern for the mat behind here, and then also on the inside. I want to talk about some of these dies. So I've got several from Paper Wishes that are D's distinctively. So I got the base tree and the tree toppers that I used for the shrubs, and then this house comes from the Snow Globe collection. These cutting dies are from eBay and a series of nested torn edge rectangles. And then lastly, the pattern behind here, and then I use for my border as well, is Hunky Dory's Twilight Forest. And that finishes things up, because I did take quite a bit of time going through this process, but I was thinking that for the larger dies, they're easily recognizable, you know, that would work with this style, but some of these smaller pieces combined make really interesting silhouettes. Anyway, I hope you give this a shot, and I thank you for watching.
Hello again. This is my first promo. So in Silhouettes 2, I didn't get enough done because I still had some more ideas. So I'm going to do a cameo piece, and then we're going to do pieces that don't actually use black for your silhouette. And then there's a very specific kind of inset frame style. See, I finally got my Halloween card done. Anyway, I hope you stay tuned for that. It's going to be Silhouette Styles 2.